Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine, and this is your preview show. I'm your host Khalid Mohidin, and this is the show where we talk about the game between South Africa and England. And as we know, the series has already been lost, so it's kind of a dead rubber for the last game. But it hasn't kept Quinton de Kock from saying a couple of things that really I was impressed with, actually. Even though he looked like he didn't want to be in that press conference, like he always does. He always looks like he doesn't want to be there. He looked a bit bored. He did answer the questions quite sternly, and I almost feel like he was extra stern in his answers, or he was a little bit extra aggressive in his answers than per usual. So I'm going to read some of the comments about what he said. Basically, we went with the headline on our website with "We need to win for our own sake," and that was the main thing that Quinton de Kock said in this press conference. I think that's the main story that came out of it. It has been disappointing to lose. He said that, and he also said we will play our best team and we need to win for our own sake. Those were the three main key points that he took out of this. He also told us that it would be nice to have an all-rounder, but we need to get on with it. He said David Miller and Andile Pelekwayo will not be available for tomorrow's T20. However, will be available for the ODIs. He made that clear. So he also said something puzzling, and that was about the pitch. He said that they didn't know that it was going to spin as much as it did. They thought it was going to be a belt of a pitch, and he was quite surprised that it spun as much as it did. So I thought that was quite weird because, they still stuck with the second spinner anyway. And yes, I do think that someone like George Linder deserves to be in that team. I 100% believe that. But it was just a weird comment to make, I thought. But ultimately, that was what Quinton de Kock had to say in his press conference. So let's get into the preview of the game. So I'm going to bring on our two speakers. One of them are going to join a little later. We're going to see if others join too. If you guys want to get into the live comments and give us some questions so that we can answer them too, I'll be really interested in doing that. So let's go with Aaron. Oh, wait. Before I introduce Aaron, you know what I have to do beforehand. You know what you have to do beforehand. You have to subscribe. Click that notification bell for future videos. Okay, let's get Aaron on the show right now. Welcome to the show, Aaron, and welcome to the show, Mpo.
Hey.
Yes, hello, boys.
Mpo was frowning there, but what was wrong?
Oh no. I was going through my team again, so I'm frowning. Listening to what you're saying, and then I'm like,
Yeah. So what we can do is, I think we'll do something a little different today. Let's put up our teams when we talk about them, and we can say we can talk about maybe who the other options could be. This can be basically the framework to work with. But Aaron, sitting there with you guys 2-0 up, how would you approach things with regards to the game tomorrow? Do you want to talk about your team straight away?
Yes, that'd be perfect place to start, I think.
Cool.
So in terms of my selection, I've gone very experimental. Of course, we have got a 15-man squad on this tour, so I've just given some of the rotation guys a go. So first name on the list, Liam Livingstone. He's got experience in South Africa, played for the Cape Town Blitz. Newlands was his home ground, and I also think he's an absolute gun at the top of the order. And when we think we've got, about 9 months or 10 months until next year's World Cup, I think this is a perfect opportunity for him to kind of not so much establish himself, but just get some international cricket under his belt. With regards to Jason Roy as well, he needs some rhythm. He looks absolutely horribly out of rhythm at the moment. He was just slashing at everything at Pal on the weekend. So I've put him in there. Fantastic way to score some runs. Milan, Morgan, Stokes, I think they're pretty obvious. Sam Billings, rotation in for Joss Butler. Sam Billings is a fantastic finisher. And again, I just think he deserves some game time. Moeen Ali, someone I think should have played actually yesterday's game, but didn't. So he gets a go on a spinning Newlands wicket. Sam Curran and Archer, pretty obvious choices. They won't be playing in the ODIs. And then Reece Topley's an interesting one because I had a real conundrum between him and Mark Wood, two very, very high quality seamers. I've purely chosen Topley because of the surface. If it's anything like the first T20, then I think it's going to be a bit slower, better for cutters, whereas Mark Wood's an express pacer. So I've chosen Topley there. And of course, rounding off my 11 is Adil Rashid. Who else?
Yeah, of course. It's quite an interesting lineup. I'm happy that you gave Liam a chance. Obviously, being familiar with Newlands. I was a bit disappointed about him actually in the Mzansi Super League because he hit the ground running and then kind of just died out a little bit. But a very nice guy. We had the opportunity to chat to him after the press conference. He's very friendly, Very nice guy. Like was talking to us a little bit about football and stuff. So I enjoyed that conversation. With a buddy of mine, actually was talking to him a lot. So Shay has joined us, so it's cool. We can bring him onto the stream. How's the brother? Oh, looking quite smart there with your little coat there, huh?
You know, we
Is
did,
it cold?
mate.
How cold is it there, bro?
Oh, it's about, what is it, Aaron? Like 6 degrees outside? 6, 7?
6 is that? Wow, it's not where I am. It says feels like 3.
No, I think it's a bit warmer here. I'm further down south, Holly, than Aaron anyway. But yeah, it's not too bad. But you know, you gotta go work, you gotta look the party. You know what I mean? So, like you, Holly, with when you come on every day, I see you looking all smart. Apart from the Man United shirt, apart from those days. You know.
Yeah, so we just went through Aaron's team. And we might as well just bring up your team and start chatting about yours before we get into mine and import. Let me just find yours quickly. Yours is over here. So let's bring yours up. What is your thought processes behind picking who you did?
I want to go for, obviously, for the 3-0 whitewash. Obviously, I think it's obviously be a good performance all round. Getting 3-0, obviously away from home, gets a good team. So I haven't done too much changes. It's really based on performance. So I've stuck with obviously Josh Butler, Johnny Bears. So I just saw Aaron's 11 now. Just caught the end of it. Saw Liam Livingston there. Interesting pick, and I see the thought process behind that. But I really want to go for the jugular in this one. So the only change I've made, you can see, I've made 3. So Sam Billings comes in, Moen Ali, and Reece Topley. Now, Billings obviously did very well in our summer. Performed exceptionally well, actually, especially against that 100 against Australia, was exceptional. Moen Ali, took him a bone. Obviously, he's made the flight. Do you know what I mean? So, give him an opportunity. So I obviously picked Moen Ali. I think we could see. Obviously, I think he'll play the ODIs, so get some game time under his belt. Reece Topley for me in for Tom Curran. I don't think Tom Curran's performed that well, to be completely honest. I think the jury's a little bit still out on Tom Curran, for me anyway, in my opinion. So I do want to see the kind of left arm option there. Obviously 6'7", coming in, bowling mid-80s. Thank you very much. I'll have some of that. And I think I'll see, as Aaron points out quite rightly, I was also thinking about Mark Wood. I love Mark Wood. I think he's a great character and a very good white ball bowler. But I just felt on this surface, I think Reece Topley, I think we'll offer a bit more actually, especially at the death. So I've gone Reece Topley. I've watched quite a bit of him in the summer. I'm a Surrey fan, so I've watched quite a bit of Reece Topley in the Fatality Blast. Performed very well. Not so much the final, unfortunately. We lost that, but did so well in the second spell. He came back on, but he's going to be been a solid performer for us. So yeah, I do want to see him. And yeah, I think that's pretty much my side. I mean, Ben Stokes, I actually want to quickly point out, I'd like to see Ben Stokes perhaps bowl a little bit more. He's only bowled 2 overs across the 2 matches. I just want to see maybe a bit more because I think, as has been pointed out quite rightly with the South African team, that 6 bowling option, So, I think Ben Stokes will be, obviously got a lot of experience in India. He's been playing IPL for a few years now. I think he could be, a go-to bowler potentially next year. So I do want to see him play. Obviously, he's not, see him bowl. I mean, he's not going to play, obviously, the ODIs. He goes home. So I don't see why he can't play a full kind of a ball as well obviously bat in the top order.
Yeah. I just wanted to hear shake it up, woody now, shake it up, woody, pace and bounce, pace and bounce. That's all that's in my head after that test series. I was sitting right by the Barbie Army. All I heard the entire time was that song, and I loved it. I mean, even though until I got to the point towards the end of that test series, and then I got a little bit annoyed because there was some there was an event that happened at one of the sports places or sports clubs. And obviously, England were having the Barmy Army and England fans were having a great time. They were all celebrating, etc. And they were singing that song on repeat, like constantly on repeat. But before we get into Mbo's team and we talk about the Proteas, I just need to put up a quick comment. What is up, Mbo? What did the big bad wolves do last night?
No, they came through. Hey, they came through. Through.
Okay, so let's put up your Proteas team. I thought I really liked the team that you went with. Mm-hmm. Just talk us through it.
Yeah, look, I think this is the best 11 that I think we should put up, barring looking at what happened over the past 2 games. I think I think Yanaman Malan deserves a run, but his role should be slightly different. Maybe come in and just give him the license to hit lower down the order with a Heinrich Klaassen. I wanted to give. So my top six has three natural stroke players. Well, Quinton's a stroke player. He's very adaptable, similar to Faf. But Temba and Rassi are the guys who I expect to necessarily turn the strike around and try anchor the innings while the others try and be more aggressive, which is why I thought maybe try Yanaman Malan at a 5. Because what happened in Paul was that we kind of got ourselves into a little bit of a rut. I played George Linder. I think he's a great all-rounder. And that's part of the reasons why I think they still picked him in the first test, even though they didn't think that the pitch was going to turn much, was because of the fact that without Piet Lugwayo, without Dwayne Pretorius, you are without an all-round outside of George Linder. Yeah. And then largely for me, I want to see the battle between Bjorn Fortuin and George Linder. Let's actually see who the better left-arm spinner is on the same pitch. Give Tabrez a bit of a rest. He's going to play in the ODIs a lot. So it's one of those situations where I think it could work. It's too similar. So here's the thing: our bowling attacks one dimension. We've got right arm quick and left arm spin. So England can tear us apart just based on that. But it's something that I want to see both of them bowl in the same match. I think they're great T20 bowlers, and so let's just have a spin-off essentially. Yes, one's going to make it because he's shown his worth with the bat, but I think from that perspective, but I do think Tabrez will play and Bjorn Fortuin won't play, but then that would be very problematic because you have Keshav playing in the ODIs. So it's a question of, okay, what must happen with Bjorn Fortuin? And I think he's also another guy that we necessarily can't just let go. We need to give him an opportunity and see what he can bring. Because look, I think for me, Yanaman Malan came out of the fact that Owen Morgan batted at 6, and I was like, actually, if Morgan can bat at 6, not saying Yanaman is at Morgan's level, but maybe you can have someone lower down the order who can play naturally. His natural game is to hit hard and hit big, which is something that we might need on slow pitches in India. So why not?
Yeah, excellent points. I'm going to give my team now. So I've went with an experimental team because I feel that our bowlers need to our bowlers are set. I would say that up top, they've decided who our best bowlers are, and I think they are set kind of. And I think it needs opportunity to see. I want to see some new youngsters. I want to see some other guys fight out for that extra pace position. We've gotten to see some of the newer guys. We've seen Bjorn Hendricks. We were not really new, but we've seen Bjorn Hendricks on the fringe. We've seen Reza Hendricks on the fringe. We've gotten to see Piet van Biljon a little bit. We've got to see some of the new guys. So I've went with a completely different side. I'm giving the batsmen though an opportunity to get some form because they batted pretty poorly. And I think they need to get some form going forward. So I've went with Temba, Quinton, Faf, and Rassi as the top 4 because I think that they need to become a unit. Those 4, if they're going to trust them for the World Cup, those guys need to build some sort of partnership and be able to back each other up in any situation. If Quinny loses his wicket, then Temba needs to work with Faf. If Temba loses his wicket, Quinton needs to be work with Faf. If you've seen he can do. If Faf loses a wicket, I want to see one of the openers play well with Rassi. So I'm also giving Yanaman Malan a chance because I think Yanaman needs a run out before the ODIs. We most likely going to see him in the ODIs, I feel. But I think because they're probably going to think 2023 World Cup for that ODI side. So I'm thinking they're going to give someone like Yanaman Malan a chance. But I want to see him be protected a little bit in this batting order and almost guarantee that he's going to have a ball playing strike type of batsman with him if they lose wickets. So at least there'll be one person there available for him. So I don't want to have like Temba and Quinton and Yanaman opening. I know that they're good together, but I don't want Quinton to sit back now and think he must play the anchor role because the senior guy is normally going to do that to let the younger guy play his natural game. So I want to see Quinton play his natural game. I want to see Temba play his natural game, and I want to see Yanaman come out and play his natural game. So that's what I've done with that. I think Heinrich Klaassen needs to find some form. as well. And I think that he adds a little bit extra with the ball. And I always like him there in that number 6 position. I think he adds 1 or 2 overs. I went with George Linder, of course, as my all-round spinner. And I think George is currently the best spinner that we have because of his batting ability. This adds that, as a player, this adds that extra value. I agree with what Omar Henry told us. When you think about the spinner at the moment, looking at for T20 cricket, I mean, George Linder has to be one of the main guys on the team sheet because of his batting ability. I'm giving Bjorn Fontaine a chance because I think Bjorn Fontaine is an excellent spinner. He's very accurate. He might not be a strike spinner that takes a lot of wickets, but he holds an end very well. So he'll be able to hold it in with a guy like with Andrich Nokia, for example, if Andrich Nokia needs to take a wicket and strike. So I've gone with Glenton Steerman as well because I want to see what Glenton has to offer. I want to see if his Yorkers are working in the T20 format. I want to see this guy get an opportunity. I don't think that their initial thought process was only ODIs with Glenton. I think that T20 might have been one of the options for him because obviously we saw him in the 3TC and that's where he showed his ability with those Yorkers. So I want to see Glenton Steerman have an opportunity. Andrich Nokia only because he missed the first game and I want to see him run out and I want to see him lead the attack. You obviously at the moment he's behind KG and he's behind Lungi in a way. I want to see Andrich take the reins and say, look, I'm going to be the lead bowler, open up the bowling or come in first change or whatever the case may be. Or open up the bowling I would like to see. And him coming running out there and say, look, I want to show that I can also lead a bowling attack. And then obviously Luto Sapamla, his slower deliveries, his pace, I think is perfect for the T20 game. And I think that I would like to see the youngster have an opportunity out there in the middle. So that's my 11 that I've went with.
There's one guy we've left out in all of this. There's one guy we've left out, and that's Junior Dala. Because I don't see him playing in the ODIs. And then I feel as though he needed also an opportunity to get a run out. It's just it's 3 ODIs, it's very short. The 3 T20s is very short. So yeah, that's the one guy that when looking at your squad, I was just reminded that actually Junior Dala also needs an opportunity to either say he's in or for us to see whether he's in or out.
Mm. That's a good point. I mean, I was thinking of Junior Dala as well when I was looking at the team. I don't know. I really want to see Andrich Nokia play another game. Actually, I think I don't think I
can play another game. It's just that it's tough because I always thought that Glenton and Luto would get would play in the ODIs, and then you'd give KG and the guys a rest. But this whole Andile Petluguayo and David Miller fitness issue is really putting a span in the works. It's someone's going to come out of there and not get another opportunity in the Proteas, and they're going to say that they took me on tour. Well, they brought me into the bio bubble, and I never got an opportunity to show them what I had. And the fact that Junior Dala is a tad over 30, I don't think they'd be looking for him towards the ODI side. So, you know what? And this is the problem with the communication for coming out of CSA. Had they picked 2 separate squads, we'd kind of know
exactly,
and we had to have a lot more clarity.
Yeah,
you know, this thing of making us guess who's playing for what.
Yeah, you brought up a flaw in my thinking over there, though. So if I had to make a change, I would probably do that. Then I'll take Luto out and I'll put in Junior Dala, and let Luto obviously play in the ODIs rather. So you did bring up but I really think that Luto, yes, maybe Glenton as well. Actually, you're right. But I really want to see. Why I want to see Glenton is because I feel that in T20 cricket, it will bring out the chance for him to try his variations and his Yorkers and all of those things more so than in ODI cricket, where I feel that they're going to rely on ODI cricket about his consistency more often. Not about all those variations and getting those Yorkers on point. I want to see him bowl those Yorkers on point under pressure. I want to see. That's why I want to test that ability. That's why I want to give him a chance against one of the best teams in the world, or best team in the world. I want to see how he puts him, because I want to give bowlers an opportunity to really push KG, Lungi, and us for their spots. Because I feel in every single top team in the world, there are people, when you look on the bench, you get a little scared. Any player. on the in the team, and I want everybody to just know that, so that they don't become complacent a little bit. They know, I'm in the team already, whatever. So I wanted to give him an opportunity. But you're right about Junior. It will be very unfair to not give him a run out. That's what I think over there. Aaron and Shay, any thoughts on the Proteas side of things?
Just one, and it's both actually. I've got one for Proteas, one for England, and it's just two notable omissions from the squads, really, not just the lineups. But we're talking about opportunities here. Okay, it's 2-0. Tomorrow's game is a dead rubber, basically. And as Mpo rightly said, South Africa's options are pretty much left arm spin. So you got Linda, Fortain, Shamsi. Someone who I wish would have been in this squad would have been Weon Luba, purely because he's got a very good T20 strike rate. He can come in the middle order. He can act as a finisher. And not only that, he gives you right arm off spin. I know it's not obviously magnificent off spin in comparison to others. He's not an out and out off spinner, but there's the option. And without David Miller,
no, but he's also another
I knew
guy.
that was coming
He's
up.
also another guy.
If Lubabalo was here, he is. It is a very good point. But again, John's in the team at least. And if I said it, Lubabalo would be on my case on WhatsApp later. So we're going to exclude John for the moment. But yeah, Weon Lube, I think that would be a fantastic addition. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And then from an English perspective, and Shay, I know we've spoken about this before, and that's Matt Parkinson. Purely because he had a magnificent T20 blast. He is one of the best and brightest young spinners in England. And this would have been absolutely perfect. There's no pressure on this game. He gets to come in alongside a world-beating team, as you rightfully said, Khalid. And it would just be a fantastic experience. Because as much international cricket under his belt, as I said, there's about 10, 11 months of that World Cup. Just give him an opportunity. He could play as a backup to Adil Rashid. I feel like England just missed the trick there. But in terms of the squad itself, it is pretty strong still, but just wish Parky would have made it. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's still in the UK.
Yeah,
he didn't make the journey.
He bowled very well when you guys were here earlier in the year. I watched him in that SAA match in Benoni. He was, while everyone was busy sick with that stomach bug, he bowled quite well.
You know what, guys, and I'm looking at Shay now, and I know he's going to respond, but every time I look at him now with this gear on, I almost think he's going to ask me every single time who killed Mrs. Plum. So go for it, Shay.
No, I think Aaron, as usual, makes good points. I mean, well, actually, a question, Khalid and Umpor, for you two, especially Khalid, based on your 11. What's more important tomorrow, given the newbies you're going to call Sapamla and Stearman, big game experience, or winning the match?
Okay, to me personally, I'm gonna follow what I was told by Boucher, what I was told by what Faf said in his press conference, etc. So I listened to Faf and I listened to Boucher. I know Quinton's captain, but what Faf says and what the Boucher says is very important to me, because I still think Faf leads that team behind the scenes, right? And he has a big influence. He will have a big influence on the decisions made. When they said we're trying to find the balance, we're trying to find a right team, we're coming out of, we haven't played in a while, all of those things that they've been saying, it sounds like excuses, but I think they genuinely are trying to find their balance and trying to find the right team. And I think that with the games being so close to each other, after a long IPL season, guys like KJ, Lungi, it's about a time that we watch them, because we know that they have an opportunity, that they're going to be starting. We know that they're going to be part of the mix initially. And if we really want to find a winning squad, like we say, we need to find those guys that can be in that starting 11. And we know for a fact, look here, these are the guys in the starting 11. I feel at the moment that Yanaman is really pushing Timba for a spot. He's hot on Timba's heels. I don't think it's quite a straight race for someone like Timba. I think he still has an opportunity to lose his spot if he doesn't perform. I mean, especially with the media attention, I think there's a lot of media attention and a lot of pressure on Timba, and he always performs under pressure normally. That's when he does his best, because he proves people wrong. But I think that if anybody's going to hustle him for his space, it's going to be Yanaman Malan, because I think Yanaman has shown his potential. My only concern is Yanaman can spin, and I think these wickets are perfect now for him to be able to now play a guy like Adil Rashid and test himself. Coming in the middle overs, like you guys we were talking about it as well early in the groups, coming in the middle overs and facing spin, because I want him to be able to see what it is like to play spin under pressure properly and get tested properly. Because it's not important for me as important for me to win the match as for me to see what we have in our arsenal, so that when we get another opportunity in the T20 games, we've seen everybody, and then Boucher and them can't have excuses and say, look here, we haven't seen everybody. We still need to test. I don't want to still be testing 6 months from the World Cup, or 7 months or 8 months from the World Cup. I want to know by the time Pakistan comes here who our best team is. When Australia comes here, we need to know who our best team is. I don't want to still be looking around for people and trying to scrap together a team. That's why I was really upset that I didn't experiment in this particular series. I thought that your first series back, experiment a bit. Try guys like Marco Mare. Try guys like Vian Lubbe, Clinton Steerman, those guys. Try them out. Let them see what they can do against the best team in the world. What's a better test than that? So that's what I thought was going to happen. But I'm going to add on to that.
Look, I think you got to weigh it up. I think the problem is obviously we haven't played in 9 months, and I think the fact that we didn't get to go to the UK in July, when we all were slightly happy and excited that it was going to happen, was a big issue, because that could have helped us give those guys who are, because you have a period where there's some guys who performed really well at the beginning of the year. Hanno Klaassen averages 211 or 12 in ODIs. Janneman Malan with that 100 against Australia at Newlands. That was the the informed Temba was on form in limited overs cricket over the past year, including the India series. Those guys still needed to be rewarded for the work that they had done. It's not a lock that they're in the 15. But if I look at the T20 World Cup, I look at that the top 6, the only question marks you'd really have are whether David Miller actually goes, but I think he'll still go. And the other question mark is possibly even Russie's position in the side. I actually do think Janneman Malan will actually go as the extra opener, which is why I think I put him in my squad at 5, because if he can bat lower down the order, it helps. The big issue that Mark Boucher has is if AB de Villiers comes back, Rassie van der Dissen's out the squad entirely. Oh, and so those are the, because I kind of think they already know they're 15. Even from a bowling attack, you're not going to take Björn Hendricks to the World Cup. You're not going to take Clinton Steerman. You're not going to take Sapamla. You're going to have your 3 seamers, and you're going to line the rest of your bowling attack with
all-rounders,
with the all-rounders. So it'll be Petlugayo, it will be Dwayne Pretorius, and it'll probably, you might even try and hustle Chris Morris to come back. And then the only other position that is up for grabs is whether we take a 3rd spinner instead of a Chris Morris. So then that brings George Linder in, because Shamsi and Tahir will have taken the first 2 spinning spots. So we kind of know the team we have. So that's why that was one of the reasons why I was slightly surprised as to the large number of players that were taken for this series. Because if you asked Mark Boucher and you had like a drink with him and you said, dude, just write your 15 on a piece of paper, I don't think it'll be that much different to the 15 that arrives in India, which is why I think we needed to try figure out, and it's literally, we're essentially looking for the 3 players who are going to complete the squad, because Andila's going and the all-rounders are going. So I think the whole point is try and be competitive, because you're playing the world's best team and you haven't played in 9 months, but also look to win and look to see if small additions to the so for instance, you play situational type of cricket. So what happens if Anrich is injured? Who's going to come in? So give that guy that opportunity to play, but still keep KG and Lungi as a core, or swap it out, say maybe KG's not going to play. Let's see what's going to happen. And I thought maybe we needed to do that a little bit more, because but it's very tough, because it's only 3 matches. It wasn't like it was 5. If it was 5, you could have then said, no, we're not. We're not going out to win, but we're looking to experiment. But I feel as though this series for Mark is to introduce the brand of cricket which is what we've seen over the past couple. No, but that if I was Mark, that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
I'd bring in the brand of cricket, because you don't have enough time to be like, no, you're not playing the right brand of cricket, you're not going. So, for instance, the only reason why David Miller's not going to go to the World Cup is if somebody else comes in and bats lower down the order and can hit runs and can hit the ball, and that's Heinrich Klaasen. So I feel as though Klaasen and Miller fighting for the same spot, and Heinrich Klaasen's going to get it. But then you've also got like an AB de Villiers who will always go. So to a certain extent, I feel as though we've been bamboozled by the Brains Trust, apart from the fact that maybe they were trying to give us players in case there was a COVID outbreak and they may have needed the next level of guys, because that's what the bubble offers. Because in a normal situation, we only have picked 15 and that would have been it. So, yeah, I think tomorrow give guys an opportunity to play. Not necessarily last chance saloon. If you do well in this game, you'll probably want another opportunity in Pakistan. But with all intents and purposes, we already know what the 15 is going to look like. And that's where the disappointment comes in, is that for instance, if next year we're still playing in India under COVID situations, if you have Miller and Petluguayo out, what happens? What must happen? And we saw that we kind of fall short in that department. So that's where I think maybe. But look, we've already lost the series. We might as well try something new in areas where we are weak. So we're weak in that number 5-6 spot. So give Yanaman a chance.
Yeah. So let me go. I'm gonna pick your brains, Aaron and Shay. I want to take you guys back to about 5 years ago, when England were in the transition phase and you guys were trying out new people, etc. Because I think there's a lot we can learn from that. Because it's based on Akona's comment over here, where he says, no ways, Yanaman at 6. If he plays, he opens. Simple as that. He's opened his whole life. He said it in another comment. He opened up his whole life even with Northwest. And I fully understand that and I fully agree. But what I'm saying is, in a T20 game, especially in T20 cricket, I don't think the specialist mindset is necessarily as important. I think you get people going into the game according to what the conditions are, and you play them according to how the opposition is going to line up. You play them according to situations. And I don't think that whether you're an opener natural your whole life, that should be the case, because then people can stop saying that Markram was batted 4, because he's opened his whole life since he was a kid. He's opened up the batting. The same thing it comes to Rassie van der Dussen. He's opened his whole life. He didn't bat at number 3 for a long period of time. Only towards the end, when they were giving up people opportunities as opening batsman, he batted batted in 3. So then you have to say that with everything. So I want to ask you guys: were there times when you guys were testing out back then? Did you guys maybe put an opener at 5, down the order to maybe see what they got? And then how did you guys approach things when you were testing things around and you were in transition?
Well, it's slightly different because that's ODI cricket. So whether or not you can directly compare them. But I think the big one was Joss. And that's because we had that ability. He was an opener. So he was opening the batting for Lancs. And then we switched him round and he became a finisher. And that's pretty much his speciality in ODI cricket now. So I think that's probably the best example of that. I just wanted to say one quick thing about Milan as well. You mentioned, Khalid, about him facing Adil Rashid. If spin is his weakness, it's better for him to come in the middle order against the likes of Rashid if Moeen Ali plays as well, and actually test himself against those guys as opposed to an Archer or Topley. So
that's why I want to see him. That's exactly why I want to see him play. If they want to test him, they need to play him against Moeen Ali. They need to play him against Adil Rashid. They need to see what he has against, because he's not getting that practice here in South Africa. I'm telling you that now. Unless he goes to Durban and he's facing Mutasami and Keshaf and all of them, he's not going to get that opportunities playing here in South Africa to play against the best spinners. And I want to test him against that. Even Markram got that first hand when he was playing in India. When India came here, he got that first hand with Kuldeep Yadav and all of those guys and Chahal. And he got it bad here. 32 wickets. I keep on mentioning it. I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget that series. 32 wickets by 2 guys.
But as I said, I completely agree with that thinking. With regards to England, though, and I think, Shay, you may agree with me on this, it wasn't so much in terms of maybe innovation. It was more trust. So we carved out particular niches for players. I've just mentioned there with Butler. We had the exact same thing with the openers. With Roy and Bairstow, go out there, play a natural game, get us off to a good start. Give Chris Wokes the new ball. Give Liam Plunkett the middle overs. We had specific roles for every single one of those players, and even the backups as well. I mean, even James Vince, I know he didn't maybe set the World Cup on fire, but he at least tried to play that brand of cricket as well. So it's more about establishing an identity and then trusting players in order to establish that identity in the squad itself. And that's something that in terms of teams which I don't want to call weaker, but teams that haven't maybe, I don't know, won a lot of series, for example. Look at South Africa. I think last T20 win series was March 2019. Am I right in thinking that? Sri Lanka is a long time ago, but it's a lot harder for a team like that to really invest time. The fans obviously want results. And as a result, you cut corners. England didn't do that because we had hit absolute rock bottom. The fans were already annoyed. I mean, that was a terrible World Cup. The best thing was the opening song, I think, from that 2015 World Cup called Bob's Beat, if anyone wants to go and check that out. But yeah, the whole thing there, we had hit rock bottom, and then it was about building the foundation for the future. And over the course of 4 years, I think we did that absolutely magnificently, obviously spearheaded by Captain Morgan, one of the greatest white ball captains, I'd say, to ever grace the game, in particular the English game. So I think that's going to be the key for South Africa. It's identifying these players, and instead of them putting in them for 1 or 2 games here and there, or a game per series, really trust them. Even if they go for runs, you put them in. Even if they don't score, look at what we're doing with Jason Roy. 63 runs in 8 innings. He's averaging less than 8. We're still persisting with him because we know what he can do. So that is the
What
key.
he did in the World Cup.
Exactly.
In the 50 over World Cup. That's what you need to win tournaments, man. Like you need 1 or 2 performances. And maybe that's why they're pursuing with David Miller. But Paul knows what we heard about David Miller last night on our Saturday podcast from Sumi. You guys can go watch that. That was a proper rant.
I agree with Aaron. But the problem is that we're 10 months away from the World Cup. We're literally 10 months away from the World Cup. It's either you want to. I would agree. I would say rip the team up, start afresh, and try find horses for courses to suit your brand. There are names already on the team sheet that fill themselves up. It's just essentially it's 4, 5, and 6. Who sits in 4, 5, and 6? And what type of batsman you want there. So it's not too bad. It's just that I don't think they're willing to give those types of batsmen. They're not willing to give those types of batsmen that opportunity. So Mark Ackerman's not going to get an opportunity. Mark Marais is not going to get an opportunity. Vian Libber is not going to get an opportunity. As much as we cry and we shout, they're going to go with the tried and trusted and hope to God that it becomes a flip of a coin, the same way a lot of people view T20, which I disagree with because it's a lot more skill than that, and that's the reason why we actually haven't been doing quite well at World Cups, because we try and play a style of cricket that doesn't suit the players, and no one's willing to make the hard decision. I thought they'd make the hard decisions, but I don't think it will happen. This was the series they needed to give an alternative view on the way we see things, and we'd be okay because it's about communication. Tell the fans what they should expect. If it's not going to be wins, tell them now so they know that you're not going to win and you're trying something new. So if it fails, you can always remind us that it's something new. But you didn't. You just said we're playing a cricket match against England, so we expect to win, and we've lost the series.
Before Shay gives his thoughts on that transition phase and about that comment about Janneman maybe potentially batting at 5 or 6, guys that are watching now that are tuned in, please smash that like button, get us trending a little bit, go share this video so that we can get in other people's recommended feeds. Shay?
I think Aaron started it very well with his points, and Paul also made some very good points to kind of counter that a little bit in terms of position of South Africa right now. I think identity is a huge part of the reason of England's resurgence post 2015, but I think it's also the marked shift in the mentality from above the team was the reasons why England excelled over those that 4-year period from 2015 to 19. Aaron's absolutely spot on. We were rock bottom. I remember Stephen Finn get smashed 2 overs on 49. Obviously, I remember against New Zealand. It was embarrassing. We were just kamikaze cricket. Ian Bell, and I know Aaron's a big fan, but but
I'll always defend him, Shay.
I know. Obviously, bossing that shirt as well. I can see there, I think. There we go. But it's like it's just I think obviously Andrew Strauss took over as director of cricket, and I think Trevor Bayliss as well came with a big, large white ball pedigree. He'd won the IPL with Kolkata, I think the year before in 2014. He came, and I think there's a marked shift in the mentality towards white ball cricket, and that's what obviously led to trust in the players, which Aaron's obviously talked about, which is absolutely true. But it came from above. I think South Africa, obviously, forever in a day, we've heard about the fact of not winning a global tournament. And I think Umpo was absolutely spot on. But the problem you've got here is that you only have 10 months to play with. And a shout out to Dan Osman as well, because he made a very good point in our WhatsApp group, I think yesterday. And he said that 10 months out and you still don't even know anywhere near your best 11. And I think they're still scratching around. I mean, look at the 11s that you guys have produced. Today, for example, you still want to see more people. It's not anywhere near settled. I think an important. I think for me, you've got the best 11 guys on the pitch pretty much, especially in the first game. But it's the kind of the brand of cricket you want to play, and I think you need to trust these guys. Like I feel Rassie van der Dusen has no real probably confidence, along with Bavuma, in his position, and that's maybe leading to how why the kind of the way that they're playing at the moment. There's no real trust, there, and I think it comes. I think also it seems to be conflicting as well behind the scenes, and I love to delve into this more, but it's not probably the right podcast. But the leadership, I mean, Khalid, you mentioned that you think Foster runs the show behind the scenes potentially. I can imagine that because I've never seen a more uninterested press conference than Quinton Acott today. Now, I know it's just to do with the press. I mean, I've never seen anyone who's a Liverpool fan here, and I know you're a bit of a Liverpool hater, Khalid, but being a Man United fan. But no, I mean, jokes aside, if you know Kenny Dalglish's second stint with Liverpool Football Club in 2012, 2011, 2012, he really was not interested in the press at all. He had no interest whatsoever, and he disconnected the fans almost with the team. And I feel like, Quinton Acott today, I appreciate obviously he's got a lot of responsibilities, but I think Neil Manthorpe came on and was basically trying to elaborate on that point, the fact that, are you a bit tired of maybe all these kind of commitments? He said, oh no, he basically just completely belittled him. And he was Neil Manthorpe, he's a very well-respected journalist, and he's like, oh, maybe you think that. And there's a lot of kind of tongue-in-cheek comments, and I feel like that's the problem. And he also mentioned the 6 bowlers. Faf said we need 6 bowlers. Quinton Acott saying no, we don't. This is internal problems here that come to the surface. So if the think tank is modelled, then how's that going to translate on the pitch? That's the problem. I think there's some wonderful players in South Africa we've seen playing today, and not even the squad. Bian Luba is obviously one of them. He's playing the moment for the Warriors in today's game. But I just feel like it's the approach and the way that the game's been relayed to these guys about how they want to set up and play. And I think that's important because you have the talent there. It's just the approach to the game, I think, and that needs to come from above. It needs to come from Boucher, etc., and then filtered down. But I feel like there's still a little bit of tension in the camp, and that's slightly my concern. I think it needs to be a slightly different approach, and you could be. But as Paul said, the problem is you've got 10 months. You can't chop and change now. There's no time. I mean, Paul made a very interesting comment yesterday about Imran Tahir, basically a shoo-in for the 15, next year, and that's surprising. Like for me, he's someone at 41 and a half years old. He's 42 in March. Surely he's a guy who needs to continue playing still. The legs are probably start getting a bit rusty at that age. Do you know what I mean? So again, what's happening there? I mean, Chris Morris. They're still talking about Chris Morris. I mean, constantly. AB de Villiers. These are questions that are unanswered. It's quite frustrating. There's someone who really follows South Africa. You're always referring to people who are not even around. Imran Tahir. Next up right here about let's get JP Dummy out of retirement. He's only 36. Do you know what I mean? Like to save the show. So I think that is one of the major problems I can see. It's just really coming from above. What's the message being translated to the players and the overall squad? And then obviously that will hopefully filter down to the brand of cricket you want to play leading into next year.
Yeah.
I can't say much to that. You have highlighted the problem with everything that's gone wrong from a player personnel perspective in South Africa over the past 5 years, and it has not changed. We've looked at T20s like it's our cousin who we don't care about, and we've always given players time off when quite
That's what
frankly.
we're talking about. Sorry, I know I registered that one late, but that was funny.
No, but Che, you're spot on. It's you need, especially against England. Why not have your best 11 and the guys were there? And as you're talking, I actually remind you, we're talking about Vian Libba. Vian Mulder scored 91 today off 128 balls in 4-day cricket, and I was like, wait, what about him? He's a bowling all rounder. And it's just
where's Eddie Markram? Where's Eddie Markram? I mean, it's shocking. And I noticed before. Anyway,
Eddie Markram took a wicket today.
I'm not the biggest fan of Aiden. I think he's he's a great talent. I
kick people on the stream. I'm telling you now.
I think they've thrown him into the deep end at the wrong time. I think he's been mismanaged by different regimes in the Proteas camp. Aiden needed work on his game. He needs to work on his game, and he understands this, that he needs to work on his game and he needs to improve his game, because firstly, the spinning ball is a problem, and in test matches, it was the straight ball. If you bowled gun straight, he'd play all around it, similar to what Timber did there, but not as flashy as Timber did, because he was whipping that thing behind square. And to a certain extent, if he can fix those areas in his game, he can bat. He should walk into the game, into the team gladly, into any format team. And he's probably another guy for a number 4 spot. The only problem is right now, Rassie van der Distance played incredibly well over the past 24 months. He should be batting at number 4 in all formats of our cricket. It's just that he's been left behind by the balance and the structure of this team. Like even in this series, if you look at this series, he doesn't have a number 7. He doesn't have a number 6 bat. He doesn't have a number 7 batsman who the team trusts. You know, and as you say, there's contrasts in conversations. Friday it was we don't have a balance. Today it was actually we don't need a 6th bowler. We're fine with just 6 and 5. And so outside of that, yes, I understand you don't want to give us the keys to the kingdom and the tricks to the trade and the source that's going to make South Africa great from Mark Boucher and Graham Smith's perspective. But a simple thing like making players honor international call-ups is something that needs to be changed. You can't have princes and you can't have paupers in the team. Guys will always play. That's why I love Faf. Faf plays every time. He doesn't question. He doesn't ask for breaks. He plays. Other people are asking for time off. And to some extent, I think Imran Tahir at 41 years, I understood that he may, because to a certain extent, playing for South Africa, you're losing money elsewhere. And I get that. And to a certain extent, a guy like Tahir, we all know that Imran Tahir is one of the best spin bowlers in T20. There's nothing we can learn from that. But there has to come a point where you have to call him back and say, we need you to come and play. Maybe that's Pakistan, maybe that's Australia next year, but it must happen. Chris Morris is an interesting one because Chris wasn't even selected earlier on in the year. So if he wanted to come back, this would have been his opportunity. It's going to be very unfair for some of the youngsters and other guys who are out of the system watching Chris Morris just waltz back into the side without having actually even honored a call-up even before. So there's a lot of things that need to be done, and you kind of need. It's actually a PR thing. Actually, you need a guy who can just handle the communication from a team strategy perspective, going forward. Because I understand Quinton isn't the most likable person, and a lot of people have said that Quinton looks disinterested and looks uninterested and everything else. The thing about Quinton that I've gotten to know watching him in high school and all of these things, that Quinton's job is on the field. He just wants to do the stuff on the field. All this other press conference stuff, it's fluff. He doesn't care, which is why he will speak off the cuff. When he says that he doesn't need 6 bowlers, he means that he can win the game with the 5 that he has. He's actually backing the 5 rather than actually saying Mark and Graham have screwed me. He's one for no excuses, which is why I like about him. He'll never get Quinton give you random excuses like, no, we didn't have the balance. He'll tell you if they played badly or if they played well. I just think that everyone says the responsibility is too much. He'll grow into this. He'll learn how to navigate the media. But the problem is it also comes with a clear strategy and a clear plan. And I think Quinton, and based on what we've seen from Faf and Quinton, there's a disagreement about what the plan is. I know Faf wants every tool in the box to win games. That's how that's why I think he's one of our best captains in the country that we've had, because Faf always wanted to go into a game with as many tools as he had. Whereas Quinton's like, give me whatever you give me, I'll make it work.
He's a flippin' smart guy, though. Very smart guy when it comes to cricket. Guy's a genius.
Yeah, and so I think yes, I think the Graham Smith and Mark Boucher are great. We love them. Everybody loves them. Woohoo! Yeah, cool. They just need to be able to learn to manage the expectations of the nation. It's different sitting from a selector and a coach perspective than being a captain who plays. Because if you're a captain who plays, you always talk about what's happening on the field. You never have to discuss all the things off the field because you always have a selector to back you. Now you're sitting in their shoes. You need to be able to articulate clearly the plans for the players. And it's not that hard. If you just said we were going into experiment, we're experimenting. That's fine. If you're saying that we're trying to find combinations, we're finding combinations. So then you can tell us about the combinations that you're looking at and seeing what it is. Or you're just gonna keep quiet and allow us to figure it out, just like how they've handled the whole number of COVID cases in the team, and on top of the fact that they didn't split the team into a T20 and an ODI, like we're supposed to be savants and figure out that Glenton's going to play ODIs or he's not going to play. It feels rushed. This series was rushed, but they need to get their act together in the back end, because you're not going to win a World Cup regardless of the 11 that you put out on the field. It may be the best 11 in the world if your backroom staff is just not that great, and your stuff is not sorted there.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring on someone now to have a chat with us about Quinton's press conference and the way he was in the presser, because I sent a teacher to that presser. He put up his hand, and he was there firsthand. And one of the questions that he actually got, the way Quinton responded would say a lot, and he'll be able to give you that experience. So welcome, Aditya. How's it going, brother? I'm just going to put you front and center this quickly. Just tell the guys what your experience was in that presser compared to the first presser that you visited with because you went to the first Quinton press conference and now you've come to the last one. The differences between the two, and what was his disposition like?
Okay, so actually I didn't go to the first Quinton press conference. This was my first Quinton press conference.
This was your first question. Okay, cool.
Yeah. But generally, I think Quinton has not been a particularly media-friendly individual. I don't know whether it's, he's not comfortable or whether he's not eloquent, but I think it was a bit odd. I asked him what were the reflections that the team might have had with the coaching staff, given the results of the first two games. And his response was nothing that you guys should know, which I thought was more than a little bit odd. But I don't know whether he didn't understand the question or I don't know what prompted that response. But it was a bit strange. And anyway, I think finally when he actually responded to the question, he said, well, just a quiet word with a couple of guys. So that wasn't my question in the first place. So I don't know what he was thinking there, but it was a bit awkward. And
but I saw leading up to that question that you asked him, like the way he responded to you guys before you and after you. Did you get a sense that he would just did you think that he came prepared for people coming? I think almost like it seemed like to me that he was prepared for getting backlash from the media. Yeah. And so he closed off immediately before even giving the media a chance to actually see how the media would react towards him. Yeah. I don't know if that's a good reflection. What do you think? What is your thoughts on the way he answered other questions?
Certainly. I think they were generally pretty brief. He didn't give a lot of elaborate answers. And I think generally the media, like in this press conference, a lot of the questions were pretty straight. They're pretty straightforward. I don't think anyone, seemed to have like an attacking sort of mindset going into the press conference. The ones that we had with KG and Rasi, I thought were were a lot more, I suppose, detail oriented than this one. Like I think both of those press conferences had questions about Black Lives Matter movement, the decision to take a knee, questions that were deemed a bit more controversial leading up to the series. So I think today's press conference was significantly less heated, and I don't think anyone came with the intention that they were going to attack the team for their performances as such. But yeah, he did appear to be defensive, and I think the question of the sixth bowler and the all-rounder really got him. Because he asked that once, and then the second time it was asked, he was like, you guys keep talking about the sixth bowler, but I don't think we really needed one. So, yeah, I think he was quite upset.
Yeah, so there we go, guys. That's what happened in the presser. Is there anything you guys want to lead with? Just to say last few things. Let's just go around the table. Thank you, Aditya, for giving your say on that. Paul, let's start with you, and then we move around. This is our final thoughts.
My final thoughts. I just want a good game of cricket tomorrow. There's nothing more that we can learn about this side from one game of cricket tomorrow, unless if they actually execute the plan of smart aggression, and that's what I'm going to call it. That Mark Boucher wants. I just hope we can put out a team that is competitive enough and can win a game against England at Newlands. If not, we're back to the drawing board, and I don't think that's going to be the worst place we need to be, because, yeah, I just want a good game of cricket tomorrow, guys, honestly.
Yeah. Let's go with Shay.
Not a huge amount, to be honest. I mean, it'd be interesting to see the lineups tomorrow. I feel like there's more in the line for South Africa. I think they really need a win under the belt. I think what's happened over the last few months, they've been dragged through the mud a little bit, haven't they? So I think it's important to get a win tomorrow. I think Quinton alludes to that in the press conference. They need to get that win heading into the ODI service, which obviously has less importance. With obviously the World Cup being 3 years away. I think they've just got Super League points, hasn't it? This series, but I still feel like this win is important. I think to get whitewashed at home against anyone is not a good thing. So I think that they'll probably come hard tomorrow. Whether England will kind of relax a little bit depends. I think they'll make some changes, which may play in South Africa's hands, especially Aaron's team. I think I'll be back probably South Africa with that one. But yeah, I do expect another close competitive game of cricket, and I'm expecting South Africa to pull it off tomorrow.
Aaron?
Yeah, I have to agree with Shay there. And of course, I do want to see some experimentation, because these guys do deserve a chance, I think, from an English perspective. But I think it is far more important for South Africa. I think that is plain to see. And I think it's also a lot more important to you guys as the fans as well. I mean, I've seen the progression, or should I say the regression throughout the series, of the optimism and the hope. So I hope for you guys, you actually do get to win a game, because I know throughout this series, as an England fan, I've been giving it quite large. I've been given some banter throughout the series. But I do like South African cricket. And with the World Cup 10 months away, you have to get into a winning habit. Tomorrow's a perfect opportunity. If England make those changes, you see how close the games have been so far. South Africa could easily win. So again, as Poe said, looking for a good game of cricket, competitive. Of course, we want that. But in a way, I suppose a little piece of me would like South Africa to just get away with the victory.
Of course, I do want South Africa to win. But I think what I'd like to see from the players is I'd like to see more adaptability. At the press conference, Quinton de Kock said that they weren't expecting the pitch to spin at all. They were expecting a belter.
That's the complete opposite.
Right?
I don't understand that. That's weird.
So my argument there is that, okay, fine, you misread the pitch, you misread the conditions. Now it's time to adapt. Let's see you do that. I don't think we've seen enough of South Africa being able to improvise like that. And if the same thing happens tomorrow, let's assume tomorrow they assume that the pitch is going to be a spinning one and it actually turns out to be a belter. I'd like to see them adapt their game plan while they're there. Because I don't think we see enough of that from South Africa. And if South Africa are to win the World Cup in India, they're going to need to do a lot more of that.
Yeah, the worst thing that would happen tomorrow is if it's a belter and they pick Jojo Smart, Bjorn Fontaine, Shamsi, George Litter, and one. It's not imagine that. Anyway, that's just a little bit of fun before we get to the game.
Haven't
Thanks a
they
lot.
been watching the 4-day series though? Like, what's going
But you
on?
see, no, but you see, they prepare a different pitch, man. So
I know,
there's
but the
three different
squares
strips.
would have similar characteristics.
Not necessarily at Newlands, the way the groundsman has been setting up the pitches. So because they were, I think it was preparation time because we weren't 100% sure that the series was going to happen. On top of it, at Newlands, for example, there's a lot of construction happening there, and that messes up the pitch. And I've seen it firsthand. I've walked over the field, and cement is blowing in front of me, and I have to close my face. So like dust and a lot of other muck. So every time you clean the pitch, they know, and the wind at Newlands can be quite hectic. So it is what it is. You have to do with what's best. But at least I would say the conditions are close to India. So I mean, that's the point. We wanted to get an opportunity to play on spinning pitches, and that's what we've got. We've been fed. So that's a perfect opportunity against the best team in the world. So there we go. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys, for coming on. Thanks a lot, Aditya, for coming on so short notice, because I literally messaged him when you were talking about the press conference. When Quentin, I literally messaged him and he jumped on. So thanks a lot for coming on the show. Thanks to all of you guys for always coming on the show. It was an excellent series so far. I'm looking forward to the review show. Got another special guest for you guys. Wink, wink. But I'm looking forward to it. And to the guys out there, don't forget to obviously like, comment, share, subscribe, click that notification bell, all future videos. And share this to everybody because, I mean, we have been doing some great shows. These guys have been giving some excellent insights. So share it with all your fans, your friends, your family. Let them get involved with us. And let's talk about cricket again. Let's form that love for cricket once again. Don't forget to subscribe to this magazine. That's free. The link is on the screen and in the description for all your updates on the cricket and the tour. There's an England series tab on the website, cricketfanaticsmag.com. If you have a business and you're looking to get sales online, even if your business is offline, there's a free video on this channel for you to do so. We take you through the processes to do that. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care, everyone.
Cheers, guys.